This is the ventilation station. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, this is the very first episode of the ventilation. The ventilation. I'm exhaling while I'm saying it because it's like a hint of what we're trying to do here and whatnot.
Okay, because I was trying to figure out what it is you were trying to do there. So
Anyway, it was a thing. I was trying something new, but anyway.
okay.
So as we know, it is indeed the first episode. So there are those formalities which we have to get out of the way. Unfortunately, I know, boring, but I think Melissa.
I'm actually bored already, if I'm honest.
You know what? Don't be rude.
Sorry.
Don't start yet. We can fight later.
Okay, sorry. That's
But
another
anyway.
segment. Yeah.
Anyway, since you like talking, Melissa, you can start. Why don't you just start off by introducing yourself briefly, because no one cares, and we'll take it from there.
Anyway, I think. Where do I even start? Okay, so. Okay, like to say that I'm Melissa, of course. I'm a human rights lawyer by profession. That's basically that's what I studied. I'm very passionate about that.
You know, it's always awkward. You know, it's like those first introductions at university where they're like, stand up and say your name and what you do and all that kind of stuff. It's like, but honestly, like, are we doing this again?
That's low-key one of my least favorite parts about going to conferences or like, you know, the first day of like school term or any of those things. I really hate those intros.
We're not doing this
It's
again.
very awkward. But I mean, it's necessary, but it's also very, very awkward. So anyway, let me try that again. So yeah, I'm a human rights lawyer by profession. I also, I'm a blogger as well. And I kind of have a wide range of interests. Very much into like, you know, human rights law for obvious reasons. I also just really am very interested in feminist writing and research and feminist activism as well.
Yeah, you do a lot of stuff. Jewelry and fashion designer. Yeah.
Fashion design as well, which is very, like specifically jewelry designing, which is very, very therapeutic for me. And it's a great outlet. Since we're on the subject of, you know, obviously outlets, what this podcast is all about. So jewelry making is one of my outlets.
Yeah, we are indeed. So anyway, my name is Chileshe, and if you haven't guessed already, I am Melissa's brother, unfortunately. It's a full-time job, but someone has to do it anyway.
Okay.
And I'm a journalist, I'm a radio show host, and I'm a voiceover artist. So that's enough about us. Let's talk about the ventilation station, Melissa. What is the ventilation station? What are we trying to do here?
I have no idea. You tell me. Like, I was just told that there would be snacks, so yeah.
I don't know why. You know what? Don't start lying on the first episode already. Don't start lying now. Lie later, maybe. But anyway, so it's a podcast.
Yeah, way to state the obvious there.
Anyway, essentially, we're trying to create an outlet here for our frustration and, most importantly, your frustration. So basically, we get angry so you don't have to.
And you know, venting can be quite beneficial. It can be very good for you emotionally to sometimes just kind of let those emotions out, to verbalize your feelings, to sort of reduce its intensity in a way.
Exactly. Because people told us that we complain too much. And, you know, I disagree with that. I think, in fact, we don't complain enough. Not only you and I, but society in general. So, and it's another question of how much complaining is too much complaining as well. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, you know, people, I think, tend to demonize negative emotions in general. And, you know, in many ways, it doesn't really help us much. You know, as human beings, we feel a wide range of different emotions. So it's very difficult to say that we should, you know, suppress one in favor of another.
Exactly.
It's very important that we also try as much as we can to understand our broad spectrum of feelings and why we think and feel the way that we do. And so complaining is seen as, you know, it's seen as unnecessary. It's seen as a waste of time. It's seen as, you know, energy draining. And in many ways it can be. I'm not saying that we, you know, that there aren't times when we can just say like, look, maybe in this instance I am just whining a bit too much and maybe I should just re-examine the situation and see where I'm possibly at fault here.
Yeah.
But it's also good that we also are constructive in our complaining.
Precisely. That's a very key word there. And in terms of complaining overall, you know, in general, when someone complains to you or confides in you like that,
Vents to you,
it's a clear indication that this person trusts you and they value your opinion as a friend or, I don't know, a strong acquaintance, whatever term you might want to use, you know. So venting our fears and concerns can be very beneficial. And sharing feelings with the others, the act of verbalizing those emotions, like you said, can reduce that intensity.
And yeah, so we're, in that sense, we're trying to create a support system for for each other, as you and I as brother and sister, and also
Also,
for.
now you care about them.
I mean, I always care about you.
Lies.
Anyway, don't listen to what he has to say. I love and care about my brother very, very much,
Yeah,
even
so
though
she claims.
even though he's always complaining about me.
Mm.
But yeah, so what we're trying to do is create that support system. We would like to have that outlet, like we've said, to enable people to feel supported in feeling
Exactly.
frustration, feeling disappointed, feeling just downright in the dumps sometimes.
Because, yeah, this encompasses so many different issues. And we're trying to give people this outlet so they do not feel alone, for one.
Exactly.
Because so many people feel alone through issues, and that's how they feel that they cannot combat those issues.
And especially at a time like this when the world is facing particularly difficult and very scary circumstances with the coronavirus pandemic.
It's very scary.
You know,
I was telling my friend the other day
yeah.
that, World War III is, I'm a conspiracy theorist.
Are you a doomsday prepper?
I'm not a doomsday prepper. I feel like that's a bit overboard, but maybe, I might just start. But if World War III comes around, I'm not being enlisted. I'm going to fake an injury.
I mean, honestly speaking, I was looking forward to it being the roaring 20s. I was looking forward to the 20s coming back. I said, okay, great, fantastic. 20s parties all around. Now it's going to be the Great Depression, so...
Yeah, I know it sucks.
Yeah.
And prohibition again. But that is a story for another day.
Indeed. And, on the subject of, the current pandemic and just general, I guess, crises that we experience in life, the rhetoric that we often get, what we're often told many times is that it's important to think positive, to be positive, and then positive things will come your way.
Oh, yeah.
Where-
That whole thing of like smiling through pain, basically.
Yeah, those sorts of things. And the problem with that is that it can go to an extreme place where you end up just feeling like you are not entitled to feel like you should be sad or frustrated by potential uncertainty when it comes to your job, when you're told that you should be positive about blessings that could be possibly coming your way, but you're feeling frustrated, you're feeling angry, you're feeling like I've worked so hard at something, when is it going to be my time? Or you've worked so hard to get to a promotion, or especially in a time like this as well, you're about to lose your job. Like, you are entitled to feel angry about that, feel sad about that.
And, I'm quite glad you actually brought that up, because I saw a tweet the other day of someone saying that she basically was getting her life together before the whole coronavirus thing struck. And, it just felt like it just reset her life, or it set her back so much again. And the question is, how can someone who's on a roll like that, how can they recover from that? Or how should they feel? And they should be allowed to feel anger, for one. They should be allowed to feel frustrated, sad, whatever those so-called negative emotions may be.
And I feel like a lot of people can also really relate to that sentiment. A lot of people did feel like their lives were getting back on track, and then suddenly coronavirus happens.
It struck.
I mean, that happened to me as well. I can really, really relate to what that person was saying.
We had plans this year.
Yeah, there were a lot of plans that we had in place, but we've adapted and we've adjusted. And I'm not saying that the positivity warriors, as you call them, are not entirely wrong. I think it is important to also just have that hope and to have that drive to still want to have a better tomorrow.
Exactly.
But at the same time, you need to feel what you feel, and you need to experience what you experience. And what Ventilation Station is all about is figuring out how we can work through our feelings and how we can find healthier ways of experiencing negative emotions. Because, let's be honest, who honestly wants to hear, just cheer up, or, everything's going to be okay, it's going to be amazing. You don't always need to hear that when you're feeling down or, depressed, and you want an acknowledgement of how you feel.
Okay, Melissa, let me ask you, actually. In all the 4,000 years you've been on Earth,
Okay, thanks.
when someone has told you to calm down or to cheer up, when has that ever worked? Like, let's say out of 10 times.
I understand where people are coming from when they do tell somebody to cheer up and to calm down and don't cry and all these sorts of things. It is coming from a loving place, from a
Yeah.
caring place.
Or they just want you to keep quiet.
Or they want you to keep quiet. There's that too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but at the same time, it fails to validate how you feel, which makes you feel, in many instances, sometimes worse for feeling how you feel, because then you think, okay, maybe there is something wrong with me because I really am struggling to see some positivity in this. And sometimes
Exactly.
you just need time sometimes.
And there's nothing wrong with someone telling you to maybe calm down or to cheer up, especially depending
Exactly.
on the extent to which that situation is affecting your mannerisms or your ability to function within
Your
that
well-being.
your well-being in that
The
particular
safety of others.
the safety of others as well.
Yeah.
But what people need to practice as well is also talking to that person first initially, trying to create some form of empathy, trying to gather some form of empathy, and then proceeding to tell that person, look at the bright side of things, calm down, or try and move past it. And you also need to change the way in which you approach certain people, because everyone is different as well.
Exactly. I mean, conversely as well, we don't want everybody to be walking around miserable and angry and upset and frustrated all the time. I mean, nobody wants that. Nobody wants to be around somebody who is constantly looking at the negatives.
Yeah.
But at the same time, if someone is going through something very difficult and very tough in their life, it may be difficult for them to see any kind of positive kind
Any
of
silver lining.
ray of, any kind of silver lining. But that is why it's also important for us to develop those techniques to experience our anger and our frustration, our disappointment in healthy ways, so that we can also not affect other people,
Road rage.
so that we can, exactly, things like that, and so that we also can avoid just dwelling and languishing in just our sorrow and self-pity.
That's what GTA is for. I mean, let's be honest.
Yeah,
Especially
and,
GTA Online.
I mean,
GTA Online is wild.
I mean, it works for me. GTA's been kind of like maybe I shouldn't be saying this on an
You probably
installation
shouldn't be saying
station, but yeah, I stand by GTA and its stress relieving properties.
Exactly, stress relievers, and this kind of encompasses what we're going to be talking about on this show.
Constantly.
Techniques, what you can say to people, what should you say, what shouldn't you say, and obviously it's not just us telling you what you should do, how you should feel.
Exactly. We want it to be, a shared learning experience for all of us.
Precisely.
We'd like to learn from you guys as much as, we hope that we can also just share some knowledge with the rest of you as well.
Share with us your candid thoughts and opinions. What's going on in your life? Tell us about your bosses. Boss stories are funny. What people are going through at work, it's so funny. Sometimes it's like not cool.
Yeah.
But,
There
yeah.
are some great bosses out there, plenty, but there are a few
Some.
that are not so great human beings.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which then brings me back to what we had initially said, which was this is about constructive complaining. We're not just complaining just because, we're also doing it because we would also like to learn something and we'd like to grow from our
Exactly. And I know
experience.
it sounds like school, but there will be some childishness.
Plenty of childishness, especially from Talicia's side.
Oh, so it's only me.
Pretty much
If
just
only
you.
people would see what you do at home.
I'm a total angel at home. Ask mom and dad. I'm the sane one, I think, between the two of us. I'm the stable one.
The same one. So you claim anyway. I think we're going to let the keyboard warriors decide that in the weeks to come anyway.
Fair enough.
This, ladies and gents, is the ventilation station.
Till next week. You've been listening to
The Ventilation Station. Catch a new episode of Ventilation Station every week on your favorite streaming platforms.